With Dragon Ball Legends being almost 5 years old, I thought that it would be a perfect time to revisit a beginner guide for you guys. And we're going to talk about all the things that I wish I knew, things you will definitely want to know when it comes to getting started on your journey strong. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. And if you wind up finding this video helpful, be sure to hit that thumbs up and subscribe for more content on the channel, including guides, gameplay, etc. Also, if you want to have a chance at a $50 gift card giveaway, listen to this. I wanted to go ahead and explain what Loot Cakes is if you're not familiar with it, and why I personally recommend and do use this service myself and have for quite a while, and I've got the proof to back it up. Anyways, if you're not familiar with what Loot Cakes is the website and Google Play app that helps you get more virtual goods in your favorite games. How, you may ask? And that's by sharing receipts, emails you get from Google Play, Apple, and Steam from your purchases in free-to-play games, and by discovering and playing new games that Loot Cakes recommends to you based on your gaming preferences. As you see here, you got a lot of different options. They've got the hot games listed, and they say the fastest growth in Loot Cakes earned, and there are also some top games, recommended games. These are the games that I personally have that are associated, and so on and so forth. And by playing and spending in games, you earn and win Loot Cakes, which is the virtual currency, which is redeemable for gift cards for major gaming platforms. Let's take a look at the different options we have for redeem. So here are some of them, and I've gotten a number of these gift cards. It's very nice, actually. And then if there's one that you want but you just don't see, you click on this button and it'll take you to where you want to go, basically. I don't have the opportunity to do that here right now, but if you want one specifically that's not showing, click reward link preferred and it'll take you where you need to go. And I personally have redeemed a number of gift cards. I got one recently, really recently. Yeah, see, here's a $10 one. I just got this one on November the 7th. So this is a for sure, and I use that to create a video for you guys. I didn't use it on Strike Force, even though it says I did that the same day. An hour later, maybe I did. But I think I used it to create a video for you guys. But for sure, what I'm trying to say is this is a program and a service that I recommend and use myself. And the cool thing is, even if you're not a big spender, you can still win up to $100 in gift cards every week just by watching the game trailers that you guys see right here. There are going to be some options to watch, like Illusion Connect has one, Raid has one, so on and so forth. And you can even install some of the recommended games and complete the things that you need to do within those games, the achievements in those games, as well to earn Loot Cakes for free. Right now, it's only available for the US. They are going to add more stuff in later, but for right now, the gift card giveaway and all that stuff is only available for the US. But let's go ahead and talk about how to sign up and to be eligible for the gift card. Now, to be eligible to win the $50 gift card, you guys need to create a Loot Cakes account using my link down below in the description, and by January 15th, activate your max rewards, which max rewards, if you're not familiar with what that is, it's in my settings. I'm not really trying to show you my stuff, but basically to activate max rewards, once you've created the account, you go to your settings, and then from there you link your Gmail account or whatever the case is. So basically it just means linking your email receipts for a game platform, or you can also activate a special offer, which means installing a sponsored game through Loot Cakes that you've never played before. Afterwards, Loot Cakes will pick and contact the winner, specifically themselves, so definitely be on the lookout for that contact from Loot Cakes. And if you're an existing Loot Cakes member and you've signed up before in the past, don't worry, you are also eligible to win, as long as Max Rewards is still active, or if you've ever activated a special offer in the past. So with that being said, good luck, and back to the video. So the most important tip that I want to lead and open this video with is, above all else, make sure that if you plan on playing this game, that you have your account backed up. And to do that, it's very easy, very simple to do. You go ahead, go to other, and there's data transfer settings right here at the top. You are going to click that and link it to social media or whatever options they have. I think they phased out transfer codes, but whatever. Link it if you want to keep your account so you don't lose it if anything happens. You want to make sure you have access to it. That is what you want to do, right? If you were doing some re-rolling or whatever, that's not really what this video is about, but if you find something, an account you like, make sure you back it up, okay? So that is the most important tip that I have for you guys. Now let's do a general rundown, because I know how it feels to start a new game or to return to a game after a long absence and log in and see all the menus and the things flashing and all that stuff and kind of get overwhelmed, man. And don't worry about it. Legends has a lot of stuff here on this screen or in other screens, but it's really all simple. And if you have experience playing other gacha games especially, you'll understand a lot of this stuff, because just the simple reality is a lot of games use the same systems. So it is what it is. So overall, let's go over a brief rundown of the UI screen here. So in the top left corner, we have the Z level. That's just my rank. It doesn't function the same way as a lot of other games where it increases this or does this and that. You can largely ignore it. It's just a flex number. It doesn't really do anything for you. You increase that by doing missions, which we'll talk about missions in a second. And definitely stay tuned because missions is the most important thing that we're going to cover next. Well, after CC, which we'll get to in a second. You have energy in the top left or top center, excuse me. The ENE, the blue bars. Again, everybody basically has the natural same amount, but below that, 6,881 there, 6,881 out of 9,999 is the energy I have in reserve. That number doesn't go up or down without me either exchanging for resources or claiming resources that would give me more, or also using energy. That number doesn't just passively fill up to 9,000 if you're wondering on its own by not playing for whatever. That's not how this game works. That's just in reserve. They're literally called tanks. They sit there until you use them, and you can get more by exchanging, which we'll cover in a second. You cannot increase your natural 10 or whatever that is for the energy that you have. I've been playing this game for 1700 and I'm not even sure if it's 10 energy at the top without counting, by the way. So there's that. You can't increase that. It is what it is. Top right corner, chrono crystals, the single most important resource in this entire game. You are going to use that for various reasons, but the most important thing is to summon for your characters. That is this game's currency. This game has various exchange shops, but it doesn't have any currency that even come close to chrono crystals like some other games would. So there's that. We'll talk about some of those exchange shops in a second. Presence, if there are any sort of social media campaigns like this friend finder campaign, I believe was a Twitter campaign, if there's any sort of social media stuff, they'll send this to you. Most of the time you don't have to actually even interact with that social media stuff. They'll just give you this stuff. It's a community-wide thing, so there's that. But if there's also any sort of limit exceeding, you'll have those items sent here. Be sure to claim them within the time period or they will expire and you will not get them back. So there's that. So presence, mission, guild, assist-a-bot, those things, you can click on each one of them to see what they really relate to. But missions is the most important thing that I want to cover. Before we do that, though, the rest of the flashing stuff, like on the left side here, this slider, these are just event banners. You can click them. It'll take you to a news article that explains what this event is or whatever the case is. Because, again, I know nobody here is going to read the freaking news, but the game has a news screen for every update, and everything that comes out in the game is in the news. If you want to really get immersed in the game, you got to read that news. And then festival chants below that, festival face-off, worldwide missions on the right here. These things are going to be here sometimes, they're going to be gone sometimes. It just depends what event's going on. Again, you can click them, it'll take you to them, and in every single event there is always this little eye in the top corner. If you need an explainer, it'll take you right back to the news where you could read up about how this event works, what you can get from the event, etc. So don't worry, Legends has got you covered if that's the case. Be sure to also claim your free item right here. It is what it is. And if you ever need to know what your daily missions are, you can click this. It'll take you there to see what's available for your daily missions, and that's basically it. So let's go ahead and go over to the overall missions, including the dailies. So I'll say, if you can, one of the most important things you can do to help yourself progress in this game is to complete your daily missions. Why? Well, you get resources, right? But the most important thing that you get here is this little stamp icon when you complete all of your dailies. And I need to go back. Okay, here. Yeah, when you complete all your dailies, you get the stamp. And the stamp is important. I actually forgot to log it. No, I didn't forget. I needed 1 more minute to complete my dailies last night, because if you do not do this every day, it will reset, okay? However, if you complete all your daily missions every day for 2 weeks, you get all these items. You get them on a daily basis, but you get all the way down to the 500 at the bottom. And then it resets and starts over. So basically just playing every day gets you all these extra chrono crystals and energy. It's perfect. Take it. Again, if you miss a day for whatever reason, they are not going to let you continue on. There's no grace period, really. You have that entire 24-hour period after the next login to complete this, and that's just how it goes. So make sure you complete all of your dailies. Now, anytime there's any sort of events, as you see, we have co-op here, we have this festival adventure, there's a lot of things here. You guys are going to see some other ones that are going to be more towards the top, like some of this stuff, I guess, that I've already completed or whatever. Anytime you have an event here, it'll show you the rewards that are available. For example, this Frieza campaign, I don't have 1,000 Chrono Crystals left to get from it, but that's about the amount that you could get from the start of it, right? So you want to make sure you complete as much of this stuff as possible. If you are looking to get the most premium resource in the game, trust me, you're going to have to work for it, and you are going to want to complete all of these missions here, especially as they're available to you, and get that stuff, that Chrono Crystal here. Get those from here whenever you get the opportunity. Also, special missions. These are going to be here as well. When you start off, they're going to give you an option to choose between one of these 3 start dashes. Now, I chose the Frieza one, right? For no real reason. I think there was one character that I needed some Z power on, but I didn't need it for the others. None of these characters are particularly great. However, what I will say is several of these characters have Zenkai awakenings. Several of them still don't, actually. But I would probably, based on the climate of the game today, recommend the movies version of it right here. That's just what I'll say, because movies is still one of the best teams in the game. They seem to always kind of come back to the movies team as a team that they like to consistently buff, so definitely consider that one overall. And the rest of this stuff just kind of depends on what you're doing, but there are a lot of other things. Like you see, there's a free exchanges for Z power for these characters here. It just really depends on what you're trying to get done, and whenever you find a mission that you want to complete, you can always come to it and click challenge. It'll take you to that event and you can get it done. So the next thing I want to do is, speaking of events, I don't want to go any further into this video without talking about the story. Story is integral to the game, and I'm not saying in the sense that you need to watch all the cutscenes and all that stuff, but it is important that you do 2 things: play all of them and complete everything with a gold star. Now, you see me, I haven't completed all this stuff with a gold star because I spend money in the game and I really personally don't really care all that much. But even I am leaving a lot of Chrono Crystals on the table. There are periods like right now where we're in a campaign where in the top corner you see it says there, experience ×2 right there in the top, Zenny ×5, and free energy or energy cost down to 0 for the first chapters. So complete all of these, and on each stage you really should take your time and get all of the Chrono Crystals available to you by completing all of the missions on a daily stage. Don't just burn through, unless you don't mind backtracking like I would have to do. And also, don't sleep on the fact that there is actual, if we go back here, actual difficulties for some of these. Some of these have normal and hard, right? Don't sleep on the second difficulty. But again, it's very important you complete those, because what happens is not only are you getting that Chrono Crystal stuff, they also correlate with a story mission, right? So we'll go over here. Where's the Z missions? They're at the bottom, yeah. So they correlate with stuff here, right? So you see even right here at the very top, clear part 13, book 5 on normal, so you get more CC here. So just complete your story as much as you can and you'll be fine. So can't sleep on that. That is where you are going to get, as a new player especially, you are going to get the most CC available there, right? If you care about getting Chrono Crystals, that is where you want to go. You are going to get the most there, because there is 4.5 years of story in this game already. So you are going to get a huge backlog from there, and that correlating here with the mission rewards. So don't sleep on that. Get that done ASAP. Now, the other reasons, other places, excuse me, you are going to get Chrono Crystals especially is, like I mentioned, if it wasn't clear, the mission rewards for various campaigns, like I showed you, the Frieza one had 1,000 available, for example, stuff like that. Also, there's a bunch of side stories that, you know, original series side stories. You can come over here, you can complete them. You can also get rewards like characters, equipment, which we'll talk about equipment in a second, but Chrono Crystals on a per stage basis as well here. And last but not least, some of the most efficient, or not efficient, but some of the most consistent ways to get Chrono Crystals are from PvP, from the recommended events here, like the raids that are live. Sometimes they'll have stuff like a choice battle that features Chrono Crystals, things like that. Also the tournament power mode, which I can't really delve into every single mode in this game in this video, or this video would simply be an hour long, and that's setting aside all the basics of gameplay. I can't really get into actual basics of PvP, learning timing, learning how to charge step, learning when to do this in that situation. I can't do all of that in one singular video. But if you hit the thumbs up, by the way, it lets me know you want to see more, and I'll probably come back and do that. So definitely complete all your missions, your stories, your events, all of that stuff if you care about min-maxing and getting these characters. So speaking of characters, let's go ahead and move over to summons. Oh boy, man. I wanted to cover characters briefly for you guys because characters it's very simple and very easy to understand, but nonetheless, when it comes to characters, they have their entire breakdown of every single thing that they can do with every single card that they have, and if they transform, every single transformed version of that stuff. And really, you honestly need a PhD to understand all this stuff, but eventually as you play a lot, you don't need a PhD. Eventually as you play a lot, you will understand what these characters do, you'll remember, you're committed to memory, things of that nature. But if you were wondering how to get limit breaks and stars on your characters, the very simple and most general and easy way to say to do that is to actually just summon for more copies. I mean, it's that simple. If you've played any gacha games, you know that, right? However, if you have access to multi-Z power, this little use button on any character will be clickable and you can exchange multi-Z power into that character. And if you're wondering how to get a specific multi-Z power, you can click this how to get button and it'll allow you to go to whatever is available, whether it's a shop or whatever, and it'll show you how you can get it. So as you see, if I wanted to get another one of these, there is one currently in this event, or this is the gacha. I would have to get 15 medals from the gacha and I can exchange for it. Also, same thing down here. This is also another freaking gacha. Step ups where I can exchange for them there. So that's not the most realistic one. What about this one here? This is a more common one. Yeah, this is a more free one. So this one is in the raids, it's in the weekend medals, so you can get this one here. And again, there's a lot here, as you see. It's on a per character thing, so if there's ever a time you want to get those, you can reliably, it takes you some time, you can reliably though work a character up. And the importance of limit breaking is they will get more stats, they will get better, but a couple of other things happen. First and foremost, as you see, when you unlock the stars on the characters, their Z abilities get better. Z abilities apply to every character on your team that fit those specific tags, and if you want to know more about that, definitely check out the team building guide. However, they improve here, they'll improve their own individual stats for each metric here. And then last but not least, if they're a character that's eligible for a Zenkai Awakening, they need 7 stars minimum, like this guy. So I barely got this guy at 7-star. He just got his Zenkai Awakening. And what a Zenkai is, it is where they add, it's basically if you play any other gacha games, like I said, they'll use a lot of the same systems. That's this game's version of if you play Dokkan Easy A, or I mean, it's not that simple. It's really not that simple, but it's kind of the same concept. Anyways, it's this game's version of a balance change or an update to the character that's an older character, etc. Not even gacha games only do this. I mean, a lot of live service games do this. It's a very common thing on gaming. So they take an old character and they improve them. Zenkais, though, have access to a couple more unique ability slots. Typical Sparkings only have 2. This Zenkai characters have 4. They have higher stats. They have a Zenkai ability. So naturally, they're very powerful. And in order to get them, even if you have this Goku at like 2-star, you will not be able to Zenkai Awaken him until he's at 7-star. So you have to either summon for dupes or use multi-Z power to get him at 7-star eventually. And you can also, when it comes to these, summon for the Z power because, well, not summon for Z power, because Zenkais also have, I can't even hit the tab in the center, the top center, right? I can't do it. Zenkais, it says 0 because there's none that are available to me. But if you log in and you start the game, you'll see it. But Zenkais use an Awakening Z power. And what I can do is I can show you where to get that in exchange for it. So it's a separate thing. And Zenkais have had a very rocky history in this game because they used to be super pay to win. They're still pay to win with the star condition I mentioned, but they used to be ultra pay to win, if you will. And if you come over to Space Time Rush, here it is, Ultra Space Time Rush, you can actually complete these stages. This resets every 2 weeks. Sometimes they run a light version of it. And when you complete that, you'll get resources and you can exchange those resources for the Awakening Z power for characters that are eligible for a Zenkai Awakening. So I know that's a lot. Don't worry about it. If a character has an access to a Zenkai, you'll see that on the character, or you can even go to characters and go to the character list or edit your team, whatever. I think I hit equip, so I didn't. Okay. You can filter out, go to Zenkai and the Zenkais that are applicable, right? These are all the Zenkai characters. They all have to have a 7-star minimum, but the point is you can exchange for their Awakened Z power for free. So yeah, and if they're a new character that just got their zenkai this week, they will be summonable because they also still run the summons. However, just wait a couple of weeks and they'll be added to that exchange shop that I just showed you a second ago. Okay, so it is extremely hard to tell you which banners to summon on and when to summon, right? But I think that when it comes down to this game, one of the most important things you can do for yourself is learning, and this probably comes from experience for sure, but for new players, right, that want to know faster, it'll come from experience, but it'll also come from interacting with online communities like YouTube or Discord or Reddit, things like that, and really trying to understand what characters are good, which characters are going to age like milk, because that does happen in this game, right? Which characters are going to last and stay relevant for a while, right? These are things that you need to know, but it really comes down to experience. I can tell you which characters are good personally, but you are going to log in and maybe you start this game a month from the recording date, right? And you don't see these same banners, you don't see these same characters. So I can't really tell you on a general sense because this video is going to age. It is what it is, right? But what I can tell you and tips I can recommend is please do not spread your resources thin. It is not a bad thing, like I mentioned earlier, to have a bigger roster. It is not a bad thing to have a big roster because it will allow you to complete forms of content like Tournament Power. That'll make it easier for you there, which is another revenue stream for CC, right? It'll make it easier in Space Time Rush or some other stages where they'll have boosted characters. It's not a bad thing. However, it's not necessarily a great thing if your focus is PvP, because no matter what you think of PvP, because it's very mixed opinions like it is in every other game you've probably ever played, no matter what you think, right? It is one of the most consistent forms of chrono crystals in this game, and with that being said, you really want to try to put your best foot forward and put together your best teams, right? So what I'll say is, in that aspect, it's safer to really choose probably a couple, maybe 2-3 teams maximum that you consistently are going to main in this game. I mean, if we look at teams, and I'm not going to really cover team building in this video because I simply can't, like this, please do not run a monocolor team like this. This was a video I did. Please don't do that, for example. If you want to see more about an in-depth team building guide, I have a video for that I did a few months ago. But look at all the possible teams that are available. You have that long list and this long list here. Now, not every single one has a fully fleshed out team. However, it's easy to get lost in the shuffle, right? So trying to choose 2 to 3 teams that you really main is the best advice I can give you when it comes to this. And that means not throwing your chrono crystals at every single banner that they put up, right? However, I will say that there is room for, if you just like a character, if you're a fan of characters, please play the game your own way for your own enjoyment. Don't let me or anybody else on the internet tell you what you can and cannot do with your account, right? It may have repercussions. It may not be the best decision, but if it comes down to your enjoyment, screw all of that and do whatever you find to be best for you, right? But please, otherwise, if you're looking for tips, don't summon on everything. You're going to have to use discretion. Unless you're willing to just put a lot of money into the game like I myself have, you have to use discretion. You're not going to summon on everything. So what teams are safe to choose, right? That's the real question. And as somebody that's played this game every single day it's been out ever, I'll tell you, there's no clear-cut answer. But there are at least a couple of teams that I think are safer bets than others. Ironically, GT has traditionally been a terrible team to invest in because what they would do is they would give the GT team 3, 4, 5 pieces, characters, and then move on for a year. They literally just did it, and I don't know if they're going to do it again, even though GT right now has GT stuff that just came out. They gave them a lot of stuff recently. I don't know if they're doing it again. So, I don't know, but they're an honorable mention, I guess. I can't really bring them up because they've treated them dirty, excuse me. Teams they haven't treated dirty are Future. First and foremost, they love them some Future Saga, and that's the, and the reason why Future is so popular in this game is because it's 2 different time periods. It's all the stuff related to Future Gohan and Trunks, whether it's the older or younger Trunks from the History of Trunks stuff, or it's all of that, right? And it's also the Dragon Ball Super Future Saga with the Goku Black and all that stuff. So it's very popular because they can do a lot of stuff with it. So they look at this banner like Vegito Blue. This is all Future stuff. So Future is a premium team that they'll actually never leave by the wayside because it expands too much of the series. That's why it always kind of comes back. And the next one is going to be Sagas from the Movies. Sagas from the Movies is another really, really popular tag that they always come back to. They may give this tag 3-4 months off, but they'll come back with a force, right? And the reason why is because, again, there's 13 original Dragon Ball Z movies, then you get some of the newer ones we've got. There's a lot of movies to do stuff from, so they are going to consistently come back to movies, and if it ever feels like they'll fall off, trust me, they'll come back. So those are a couple of teams that I would recommend. You know, I would say teams like Saiyans or Hybrid Saiyans because they're always going to get new characters. It's just kind of sketchy because sometimes they'll put out characters that aren't good on those teams. They can't be on those teams due to restrictions in their kits, things like that. So those are honorable mentions as well. But again, I want to stress it's important to really choose a few teams outside of your own enjoyment to really focus on. And some of that will also determine or depend on what's boosted in PvP, because PvP has boosted seasons and stuff like that. So it just kind of depends. So keep that in mind when it comes to building teams. And like I said, I'm not really going to cover too much of team building, but I wanted to share this tip with you. And that tip is that when it comes to team building, there are a few things you need to do. First and foremost, please do not auto select. Auto select is not, they've made it better, trust me. But it is not really a good feature. It doesn't use the best logic. It doesn't really know what it's doing. And you can change the settings, you can configure it how you want to. It doesn't really know what it's doing, okay? Please don't use that. It's not great. Secondly, it's not great at choosing equips, because equips for a character like this should be, this Goku specifically, should be blast based. They shouldn't be strike based. Things like that to really maximize what he's good at. There's no point in giving, and this is not, I don't think this is an opinion really. It is an opinion, really, it is, genuinely. But I think it's malpractice to give a blast-based character strike-based stuff. You are literally clipping him at that point, making him worse than he could be by giving him stuff that he just doesn't specialize in. So give this guy all blast-based stuff when it comes to equips. Just please do that. But anyways, again, I have other guides for equips too. So please don't do auto team building. Just build a team that's coherent. And again, if you want to build a team, please check out the guide down below in the description. I have a full guide for that. Once you finish this one, it'll be there for you. Listen to it, please, because it'll definitely help you. But what I will say is you need to make sure that when it comes to your characters, I see so many new players that are not doing this. I have done it all completely for this guy, because Zenkai's opened up a second portion of it. However, please soul boost your characters. Okay, please soul. And if you need to know where to get certain resources, is there a character I haven't soul boosted? There are some older ones I haven't soul boosted. If you need to know where to get a certain resource, right? Oh yeah, here is one. You can click it, it'll say how to get, and just like that, the game will show you exactly where you can go to exchange for this stuff. So please soul boost your characters. The most efficient way to get the soul boosting materials, though, I will say, is on the weekends. Legends runs a campaign for their extra stages here. So this pertains to Super EXP. As you see, acquire a boosted experience, get tons of rewards for Super Zenny. You also get extra drops for the boost for the bonus battles. So completing these stages on the weekend is going to be very important, because you are going to get all the resources you need to build your characters, whether it's experience, Zenny, or the soul boosting stuff. So these are always here, but on the weekends it's doubled basically. So definitely try to complete your stuff on the weekend. That is where you're going to get that stuff. Make sure you're soul boosting your characters, and make sure you are upgrading your equips when you build your team. Please do not come into PvP with, you don't have to have Z's or anything like that, but don't be coming in PvP or even not even PvP, because you also face this issue in any form of content where you're really just not putting your best foot forward. Like I mentioned, please don't be out here using these E's and D's and C's. Don't do that. Don't do that. And this, something like this, where it's a C, when it's 3 is fully upgraded, don't do that. It's garbage. It's actually garbage. Please don't do that. It's okay if you're just starting and you haven't got to the, which this is a beginner guide, but try to move away from that, right? A is the lowest I would go. I would not go any lower than A rank. Again, you don't got to run Z's or Z pluses, but I wouldn't go any lower than A, and I would strive for S minimum. I personally use a lot of S's because I don't really think that it's that important to go to Z. I wouldn't go any lower than A as a new player. And if you have an equip that you like, there are, I'm sorry to keep pointing you to different places. I really can't spend an hour and a half on all this stuff. There are guides I have on the channel. I know you knew I was gonna say that. But if you have an equip you like, you can re-roll it and maybe improve the slot, right? Speaking of slots, you know how it says slot 1, get this, get that. You might have noticed that every character has 3 different slots you can put equips on. This is a general tip, but I gotta say it. It doesn't, this stuff, it doesn't matter where you put it. It doesn't mean that if I put this in the 3rd slot on my Bardock here, as you see, it's in the 3rd space. It doesn't mean he's not getting that stuff and he's only getting this. All this stuff is active no matter where you put it. Please let me know if you were confused by that still. I always have people bring that up to me. It's something that has always gotten people. It doesn't matter where you put the equips, just put them on your character. Your character gets all of it. So, to recap, check out the team building guide for philosophy on team building, but regardless, put together your best team. Utilize a leader slot. Again, check the team builder guide out for that and explainer on the leader slot and all that stuff. Trust me, it's worth it if you want to know more about that. Upgrade your characters, level up your characters. You can get the resources for upgrading and leveling through the daily stages over there in the events tab, especially on the weekend. You can also train here. These items are available from the exchange shop. This is a quicker method, but nonetheless, you can train your characters however you see fit. You can really train them on any stage. It's just some of them are better than others, obviously. But train your characters, soul boost your characters, and upgrade your freaking equips. Please do that. All right, so the next thing I want to say is we are going to cover the exchange shops. And this may be one of the most overwhelming parts of Legends. It's really simple, but it's just there's so much here. Every single day when you log in, you are going to see this login screen or some variation of it. Right now we have the Ultra Weekend bonus one. So that being said, the roster will change, but most of this stuff is not very, good or anything like that. The CC, I mean, it adds up over an extended period of time because it's only 10 a day. But, it does help you if you're a free player. You need all the CC you can get. So definitely consider choosing the crystals. And from a new player's perspective where you don't really have a lot of this stuff, I think stuff like the skip tickets right here add up really nicely at 100. That will really help you farm some characters, get going, because you do want to try to get your roster as big and wide as possible, because it will help you with completing the content of the game like Space-Time Rush and stuff, which would then help you open more doors to Zenkai Awakening characters and just help your mid-game progression as well. So having access to more energy and skip tickets is always going to be a plus. Speaking of tickets, the center row of tickets they're all really, really, really outdated or old characters. However, like I said, having access to more sparkings and these tickets have a 30% chance could be very helpful for reasons like I mentioned. Also, some of those older characters, maybe you want to have them for collection purposes, and maybe they have Zenkais. Well, a lot of them do, so maybe that'll help you out with getting a specific Zenkai. You might get lucky, but you're playing the numbers game there, and odds are you probably won't get exactly what you're looking for. Math, but still. Outside of that, I mean, I would consider the SP coin. I wouldn't sleep on this, but that's pretty much it, guys. Let's move on. So let's cover exchanges. And here is a list of the exchange shops. At any given moment, these will change. They correspond, as you see, there are dates here. They'll correspond with ongoing content, campaigns, summons, etc. But look at the long list here of just different shops and things to get. And yeah. So, like I mentioned early in the video, every single one of these, as you see, also has a little eye in the corner. If you want to know how to get these things, trust me, you can press the little eye in the circle or in the square in the corner. It'll tell you exactly where to get that. So if you're wondering where to get a certain one, it'll tell you somewhere in this article. Oh, here it is, right here. How to get these medals for the Samasu. It'll tell you where you need to go. Please, 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 don't be afraid of the news. But Each of these will have different items, right? I can't really, I mean, I could, but I'm not going to spend a ton of time going over items and exchange stuff in here. The best things to exchange for, these are things that could be 10 other videos, really. But really just use your best judgment when it comes to this shop. Try to exchange all your stuff before they expire. Please don't let this stuff expire on you. Like this one, I have 2 weeks to exchange stuff here. Multi-Z power, these have conditions, but they're basically a way to infuse your characters with dupes without actually doing so. You can just manually do it. It doesn't work on Legends Limited characters, etc., but that's a way to infuse your characters. And then there's other stuff in here like the soul boosting stuff that we saw earlier. Right here, this is Zenkai boosting stuff, a little bit different. We have the soul boosting stuff like I mentioned earlier. You don't have to play those stages specifically, like we mentioned, where you can go and do the daily stuff. It's, I guess you get more of a bulk there depending on the amount of energy you're willing to put into it, but you can also exchange for them through various exchange shops. You can also exchange for some other stuff like these coins or metals, and they'll take you to other it's funny, you can use exchange shop currency to get other exchange shop currencies. So yeah, please just use your best judgment when it comes to that. Exchange shop, like I said, it's probably one of the more, it's super easy once you understand it, but it's probably one of the more overwhelming aspects just because there's so much here, right? But it changes, it depends on the content that's going on, stuff like that. So the last thing that I had for you guys for this video was have fun. I know that's very cliche, that's a funny way to end the video. Have fun, try to just enjoy the game for what it is. It's nothing, it's not the best mobile game on the market, it'll never be that. It's not the craziest mobile game, but it's somebody, as a game that I have played for, like I said, closer to 5 years now, because it'll be 5, well, it's 4.5 years. For 4.5 years now, it's definitely fun, and I think that with these tips, you guys will be able to be successful. I'm sorry that I had to keep pointing you to a few other videos. They may be clickable on the screen currently, but they will be in the description regardless. But there is just so many other avenues to this game. We never even really got into gameplay. Just try to learn the game the best you can, but when it comes down to it, if you really want to delve into it, there are a lot of advanced techniques to gameplay mechanics and learning the actual gameplay that will help you when it comes to getting better at the game itself, outside of the general tips that we started talking about for today's video. I want to thank you all for tuning in. If you found this helpful and you made it to the end, thank you for your support. But if you found this helpful, hit that thumbs up and subscribe. And remember, the $50 gift card giveaway is in the description as well. Take it easy, guys.